Success isn't always about greatness. It's about consistency. Consistent hard work leads to success. Greatness will come. Dwayne Johnson. Today I'm going to talk about the power of consistency. Without this ingredient, you could have all the talent, riches, and resources in the world and yet still fail to achieve. With this ingredient, you could have little talent, riches, and resources and yet still succeed. It's one of the most powerful and yet often neglected aspects of achievement. Use of it can bring you virtually anything you want in life: fame, fortune, health, and happiness, while lack of it will have you coming up short. So what is consistency? For this talk, the definition I'll be using is steadfast adherence to the same principles, course, form, etc. Now, why is consistency important? Because without consistency, nothing in the universe could be accomplished. For example, imagine that you're baking a cake, however you decide to be inconsistent in the baking process. You leave the cake in for a minute and then take it out. Then put it in for 20 minutes and then take it out again. Finally, you get frustrated and just leave the cake in the oven until it catches on fire. This would sound ridiculous to do, but people do this all the time. For example, just look at all the people who start and stop exercising and dieting too soon before they see results. A person will exercise for one day and then take a week off, then exercise for a few days and then stop for 6 months and then recommit in January for the new year and be done in February. Without consistency, not only did the person not accomplish anything, but he or she is probably worse off than before, as this person spent time, money, and energy on a gym pass and gas and other things related to this subject. Another reason consistency is important is because of the principle of compounding. People primarily think of this principle in regards to saving and investing, in which money you invest earns money that is reinvested again and begins to accumulate, but this principle also applies to other areas of your life. For example, if you're learning a new skill such as martial arts, your daily improvements are going to compound on each other and eventually you'll reach a new level of proficiency. Having spent time in a lot of different MMA gyms, I would often see guys with very little natural talent but with a consistent work ethic surpass guys who had a lot of talent but were inconsistent with their training. The saying, hard work beats talent, is true. The hard work of a consistent worker would eventually bring greater results than the inconsistent work of a more talented person. Now, how can you harness the power of consistency? The first way is with consistent thoughts. All action springs forth from thoughts. If you consistently hold certain thoughts, ideas, images, and ideals in your mind, they're eventually going to express themselves in consistent actions. The main trick is to hold steadfast to your thoughts. Most people think a million ideas all day long that have little or nothing to do with each other. Every time they see a new image of something, their mind goes running off on another tangent. This scatters their energy instead of focusing it. Their mental energy, which could be as sharp as a laser, is scattered all over the place and has no force behind it. I want you, on the other hand, to have a clear set of written goals that you're working towards and to read these goals to yourself every morning. You could also read them to yourself at night as well. If you've never written goals before, I want you to do the following exercise now. I want you to get some paper and a pen out and write 101 goals you want to accomplish in this lifetime. This exercise will get you really clear on what you want to accomplish. It will also fine-tune your energy and will keep you on track. After doing this exercise for myself, I did some fun things such as performing at a stand-up comedy club and also seeing some of my favorite spiritual teachers. When you do this exercise, make sure the goals you set for yourself excite you. If a goal doesn't get your juices flowing, let it go, as that means it has no passion behind it and will most likely not be achieved. Another reason I want you to set goals for yourself is that when you read them to yourself daily, they will begin to build desire within you. Desire is hugely important to achieving what you want. As you consistently show your goals to yourself, your desire for their achievement will build. As your desire for their completion builds, you'll take more consistent action towards their attainment. Also, and this is hugely important, as you keep showing yourself images of your goals as complete, your belief in their achievement will increase. This will cause you to take even more action towards their achievement. Another important reason that having goals is important is because they'll hold you up when life becomes discouraging. People often quit things not because they couldn't accomplish what they wanted, but because they couldn't control their state of mind. At those moments when life has you feeling down, having a clear set of goals you're working towards will have you moving forward irrespective of how you're feeling. Your goals will be your flashlight in the dark, so to speak. Another way to get yourself to take consistent action is to add pain and pleasure to what you want to achieve. For example, let's say you want to earn an additional $100,000 a year. You could ask yourself, what is the pain I'll feel by not earning an additional $100,000 a year? And you could list either verbally or by writing it down all of the pain you'll feel by not having that $100,000. This will link up to your mind massive amounts of pain to not having what you want, and as your mind wants to avoid pain and experience pleasure, it'll drive you towards earning that extra $100,000. After you do this exercise, shake yourself off before doing the next part of it. This is done to put you back into a more positive state. The next part of this exercise is to ask yourself, what is all the pleasure I'll feel by earning an additional $100,000 a year? And again, verbally list or actually write out all the pleasure you'll feel by having this increased income. Congratulations, you've now set yourself on autopilot for success. To further enhance the effects of this exercise, take your answers out into the future. For example, after answering, what is the pain I'll feel by not earning an additional $100,000 a year? You could then ask, what is the pain I'll feel in the next 5 years, 10 years, and 20 years by not earning an additional $100,000 a year? You would do the same process for the pleasure aspect of what you want to achieve. I also want you to write out any negative beliefs you have about the attainment of your goals and about yourself. Each negative belief you have is like a weight in your mind that is dragging you down. For every negative belief you list, I want you to write out at least 3 reasons as to why it's not true. Be sure to ridicule your negative beliefs and tell them they no longer have any effect on you. You could also think of someone who's accomplished what you want to do, and or you could remember a time in your life when that belief hasn't been true. If that other person can do what you want to do, or if you've done it before in the past, you could do it again or you could do it too. You could also use the pain-pleasure principle I mentioned before by associating massive amounts of pain to your old beliefs and massive amount of pleasure to your new beliefs. You could ask yourself, what is all the pain I'll feel by holding on to these negative beliefs? And actually say to yourself or write out all of the pain you'll feel by hanging on to your negative beliefs. After you have your list complete for the present, take your perspective out into the future and ask yourself, what will it cost me in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years if I hang on to these beliefs? By the time this process is done, the power those old beliefs had will be gone. Shake yourself off, and then I want you to write out a positive belief on a new piece of paper for every negative belief you had. You can throw the piece of paper with your former negative beliefs away. With your new beliefs, you will now ask yourself, what is the pleasure I'll feel by having these new beliefs? And verbally list or write out all of the pleasure you'll feel by utilizing your new beliefs. After you're complete with that, take your perspective out into the future and say, what is the pleasure I'll feel in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now by adopting these new beliefs? After doing this, you'll have hardwired these new beliefs into your system. Read them to yourself daily to reinforce their good. Another great way to develop consistency is through the power of visualization. Set aside a few minutes every day to put yourself in a relaxed state and to see your goals as complete. Mentally see yourself achieving what you want. This will send powerful images to your subconscious to make it a reality. If there are certain behaviors you would like to stop, see yourself doing the behavior and then imagine that you're drawing in huge red marker a giant red X over the image and tell yourself, I will no longer engage in that action. Then show yourself how you want to behave. With repeated repetition, you'll have trained your brain to accomplish what you want. For the behaviors you would like to stop, make the images of those behaviors dark and distant. See them becoming smaller and smaller as they go off into the distance until you can no longer see them. For the images that you would like to engage in, make those images bright and close to you. In fact, you can make them brighter and closer, more and more vivid, until you actually step into the image and begin to live it in the first person. This is a powerful visualization process to associate massive amounts of pleasure to what you want and massive amounts of displeasure to what you don't want. In Jack Canfield's excellent book, The Success Principles, Jack shares the difference between people who thought about their goals versus people who were making a weekly progress report to a friend. There was more than a 30% increase in results between the two in favor of the people who shared their goals with a friend. This brings me to my next point. Find a coach or friend who will help keep you accountable. If you know you have someone who you're checking in with, you'll be more likely to do what you say you're going to do. When choosing a coach or friend, be sure to choose someone who's reliable, optimistic, and believes in what you're doing. By the way, those people who wrote out their goals and shared them with a friend had more than a 70% increase in productivity over those people who had no clear goals and were not sharing them with anyone. This brings me to my next point. If you want to stay consistent, stay away from things that would demoralize or devitalize you. Stay away from toxic people and conversations. Instead, tune in to what you want. Watch documentaries on people who have accomplished what you want to do. Read books by leaders in your field. If you can, find a mentor that you can model for success. Having a good mentor you can model will save you years of time and headache, as your mentor has already achieved what you want to do and knows the best route and the pitfalls along the way. Also, your mentor can help reinforce the good work you're doing. Virtually every great person has had a mentor or role model along the way. Look for people who inspire you and use that as a roadmap on where to go. To recap what's been covered, first, be consistent in your thoughts. Then, decide on what you do and begin showing yourself that it's possible. Associate massive amounts of pain to not achieving your desires, while associating massive amounts of pleasure to the achievement of them. Remove any limiting beliefs while instilling new positive ones. Find a mentor and/or someone to model. And lastly, have someone who can help keep you accountable.